What's going on, everyone? This video is going to be a little different than what I usually do. We're going to be doing Week 11 power rankings. We're going to rank what I think the top 10 teams in the NFL are right now, and I'm going to talk about why I think that and why they're in the spot that they are. So yeah, with that out of the way, we'll hop right into it. And starting off with number 10, we have the Chicago Bears. The Bears have won their last two, and they've won them in pretty dramatic fashion too. Last week against the Bengals, they won 47-42. Caleb Williams looked really good in that game. And then this last game they played against the Giants, they were down by 10 in the fourth quarter. Caleb Williams wasn't playing great, and then they came back and won. And I mean, they're not the prettiest wins, but the fact is the Bears, they're 6-3 right now. And they're above the Packers, actually. So I think they're starting to actually put it together for the first time in years. So I got to give them credit, hence why they are on the list at number 10. And number 9, we have the Buffalo Bills. The Bills, they had a rough week this week. They got blown out by their division rival Dolphins. And this was just a week after beating the Chiefs. I mean, they always beat the Chiefs, but beating the Chiefs is a big thing. And the reason why they tumbled so low is just because, they lost to a team like the Dolphins, who are obviously a very bad team. And to be fair to the Bills, I'm not going to completely take them off the list just because it is a division rival. It's only one game. And I think they will be fine, but they definitely need to start playing better if they want to, do something in the playoffs for once. So they're sitting at number 9, and we'll see how they progress through the rest of the season. And number 8, we have the Los Angeles Chargers. The Chargers, they're quietly on a 3-game winning streak. And just this last week, they were able to beat the Steelers pretty convincingly in a defensive slugfest on Sunday Night Football. And, I mean, the offense, a tiny bit concerning. The defense, though, I think the defense is great. And I think if they can keep playing the way they are, I think they could potentially steal the AFC West away from the Broncos and keep it from the Chiefs. So we'll see how they keep playing. And as right now, they sit at number 8. All right, next up at number 7, we have the Philadelphia Eagles. And I'm not going to lie, this feels low because they actually are on a 3-game winning streak and they're 7-2. So it's like, I genuinely feel like this is low, but at the same time, there are so many good teams right now. It's just hard to put them any higher because their last win, it was on Monday Night Football against the Packers. That was ugly. They won 10-7, and there were some very questionable decisions by Nick Sirianni. And don't get me wrong, I still think they're a great team. I mean, they just probably had a bad game. But that's the only reason why I can't put them higher because, I mean, the truth is all of the teams on this list are genuinely extremely good. Like, I think any of these teams could make a run in the playoffs just because of how well they've been playing. And when you have a game like the Eagles did where they win 10-7, yeah, it's a little hard to put them higher than number 7. But you are on the list, so congratulations, Philly. All right, sitting at number 6, I have the Denver Broncos. Now, this one's like really hard for me because I'm a Broncos fan, clearly by the, picture on my profile. And, they should probably be higher too because they're 8-2 and they've won 7 in a row. So you'd think a team like this would be at the very minimum in the top 3, but like I said with the Eagles, quality of wins matters so much when it comes to the way that the NFL has been this year, because you can't say a team that beat the Raiders 10-7. That's what the Broncos did on Thursday Night Football. I can't truthfully say that they're better than any of the teams that I'm going to list because these teams had better wins and some of them have worse records. I mean, most of them have worse records, but at the same time, quality of wins is everything when it comes to power rankings. And if you can't beat teams that you're supposed to beat convincingly, and your offense looks as bad as we've looked at times, it's kind of hard to just justify putting them any higher. And it's just, you have all these great teams in front of them who have had genuine quality wins. So, yeah, Broncos sitting at 6, and if we do beat the Chiefs, they will be a lot higher, though. So maybe we can do that. And starting the top 5, at number 5, we have the Detroit Lions. The Lions last week were able to avenge themselves for losing to the Vikings the week prior by crushing the Commanders. And I believe the score was like 44-22. But, I mean, honestly, the game probably wasn't even that close. I mean, this was true belt to ass. The Lions were in control the entire time. You know, this was a very good win for the Lions team, and it was a win they certainly needed because the Packers lost. And because the Packers lost and they won, they're officially at the top of the NFC North right now. And considering some of the teams I'm about to mention in the NFC, it's good that they won because they need all the wins they can get if they're going to remain competitive in these playoffs, because there are a lot of good teams. The Lions, for my money, are one of those good teams, and we'll see if they can continue to keep playing efficient offense. And right now they sit at number 5. All right, and number 4, we have the Los Angeles Rams. And they have won 4 in a row at this point. They're sitting at 7-2. And the thing that sucks for them is, despite how well they've been playing and them being 7-2, they're not even in first place in their division. That honor goes to the Seahawks, but we'll talk about them in a minute. And the thing about the Rams, I'm not going to lie, I think the MVP right now should be Matthew Stafford. I think he is playing at an unbelievable level right now. I think he's got like 25 touchdowns to 2 interceptions. And honestly, considering how much that offense passes the ball, I think that is especially impressive. And honestly, I think the Rams, this could be the year this could be a year they win the Super Bowl like they did in 2022. And we'll see if they can get that done, but they're looking really good right now. And literally the only reason they're not higher is because their defense is like slightly worse than the other 3 teams that I'm about to mention. But other than that, this team is unbelievable, and they sit at 4. All right, and for number 3, we have the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts were able to get back on track with a win in London against the Falcons, and they lost last week, so this win was good for them to get back on track. And Jonathan Taylor, oh my gosh, if Matthew Stafford's not the MVP, it's definitely Jonathan Taylor. He had 244 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns in this game, in the game they played against the Falcons. And honestly, without him, I don't think the Colts are as good as they are, but they have him. And they're playing really good offensive football for most of the games they played. Literally, the only game that they haven't played well offensively in was last week against the Steelers. So I think the Colts have one of the best offenses in the NFL. And, you know, if they can keep just giving the ball to Jonathan Taylor and Daniel Jones can keep playing as efficient as he has been, you know, this team's going to be very dangerous come playoff time. And they sit at number 3. All right, sitting at number 2, we have the New England Patriots. And the Patriots, like the Broncos, are on a 7-game winning streak, except the difference between the Patriots and the Broncos is the Patriots, they are not struggling offensively. They are having a great year offensively. They had a great game offensively against the Bucs last week. And, you know, I think that matters. That matters a ton, because if you can't put up points, you know, you can't keep up with the other teams. The Patriots, they certainly don't have that issue because they got Drake May, and they've got, you know, Travion Henderson. He had a good game last week against the Bucs. And Stephon Diggs and Drake May, they're looking really good together. So it's looking really good for the Patriots. And, you know, I think as of right now, they are playing the best in the AFC right now. And the only reason they're not number 1 is because the other team is an NFC team that's kind of, you know, separate from them, you know, because different conferences and things like that. But for right now, they're looking really damn good, and they're sitting at number 2. And finally, at number 1, you have the Seattle Seahawks. As of right now, they've won 4 in a row, sitting at 7-2. And yeah, they're looking really good. You know, Jackson Smith-Njigba is actually on pace to break Megatron's receiving yards record, so we'll see if he can do that. You know, Sam Darnold's playing really efficient football, and that defense last week, they had two defensive touchdowns against the Cardinals last week, which is absolutely insane. And I think it was by the same player too. I don't remember which player it was, but I think literally the same player got 2 defensive touchdowns for the Seahawks. So that was a great team win for them, and they've just been playing very consistently great football. I mean, you know, a lot of these teams, they are winning, but they're not winning great, or they're losing. They look good, but they're losing. But the Seahawks, you know, they're winning and they look good. You know, they're one of those teams where they're very complete. They've got their quarterback. They've got a decent running back room with Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet. They have arguably the best wide receiver in the NFL in Jackson Smith-Njigba. You know, they brought in Rashid Shaheed, and he didn't really do much against the Cardinals, but I think that's a fantastic addition. And yeah, the Seahawks, for my money, are the team to beat in the NFL right now. So we'll see if they can sustain the way they're playing. And that's going to do it for the power rankings, and we'll have them on the screen real quick. And there you have it. Here's the list side by side if you want to look at it. And I'm not going to lie, this is actually insane because I feel like there's so many teams that aren't on here that I feel like should be but can't be on here because they either lost or I don't think they're as good as these teams. You know, the Chiefs not being on here is crazy. The Bucks not being on here is crazy. The 49ers even not being on here. I feel like that's kind of crazy. They're 6-3. You know, I think the Bucks are 6-3 too. The Chiefs are 5-4. The Packers lost 2 in a row. Otherwise, they would definitely be on here. You know, there's other teams too that I just can't think of off the top of my head that I feel like should be on here, but they aren't just because it's been that crazy of an NFL season. But that's all I got for this video. I know it's a little different than just doing reactions, but I wanted to change it up because I was getting a little tired of doing reactions. And I feel like this is a little more relevant. And it's not just me reading what happened because you guys already know what happened. This is more what I think. These are all my opinions. I can't say for a fact that this is 100,000,000% correct or anything like that. But yeah, this is what I got. Here are my top 10 teams, and we'll see how they age by next week because I plan to do this for week 12 too. So we'll see how much this fluctuates. We'll see how everything plays out. And I will see you guys on Thursday for my Week 11 NFL predictions. Peace out.